Okay, so in the last video, we went over just a really brief description and a very short and truncated history of Medicare in the United States. One way to think about the effect of these laws is to look at how they changed the economic incentives that individual people and different people face. An admittedly weird, but not totally inaccurate way to think about this, about how Medicare works, is kind of like this. Every paycheck that we receive, we are effectively buying senior citizens a gift card that can only be used at the doctor's office, hospitals, or pharmacies. So let's think about this in terms of supply and demand. Now, anyone familiar with even a principles of economics course can tell us about the supply and demand functions and equations, but we're going to review that a little bit more in the next lesson. But I want to just give you a quick preview of where we're headed. So if we have an increase in the effective amount of income that senior citizens have that they can only spend on healthcare, what that's going to do is it will increase the demand for healthcare. And when we have an increase in demand, we'll see two things. First, we'll see an increase in the price of this good. In this case, the good in question is medical care. And second, we'll see an increase in quantity. Now, this is no different from increasing the demand for apples or cars or anything else. And we can think about this in terms of the incentives that older people are now going to face in light of these policies. Now that government, through Medicare, is going to pay most of the cost of their medical care bills, are they going to want to go to the doctor more frequently or less frequently? Well, the answer is almost certainly more. And this means that the demand for healthcare is going to increase. And as we know, when the demand for something increases, the price goes up. At the same time, the demand for healthcare was increasing among the younger population as well. Why was that? Well, for one, in the 1960s and 70s, income was increasing for almost all American families. And people, when they have higher incomes, tend to buy things like health insurance. And if you're going to pay for health insurance, you're almost certainly going to use it. This again causes the demand for healthcare to increase, causing the price to again increase even higher. This time period also saw very high marginal tax rates on monetary income. In other words, on income earned in the form of dollars. The top rate was as high as 70%. Now, this is 2021, and as I'm sure you've heard in the news lately, rich people, one, don't like to pay taxes, and two, have found really clever ways to avoid paying taxes. So here's one trick that they can use, and we can use it too. It's not exclusive to rich people. Thanks to provision in the tax code, if a company pays you by buying your health insurance instead of giving you money, neither you nor the company has to pay taxes at all on the health insurance that your company buys you. Low income households who are barely able to make financial ends meet as it is typically don't have the luxury of being able to afford to be paid by their employers in health insurance. Instead, they take virtually all of their compensation as dollars. High income households, however, can afford to be paid in forms other than money. In other words, they can take their payment in the form of health insurance, along with company cars, company phones, etc., and still be able to pay their bills on time without any problems. So, what do these high income households tend to do? Well, they start getting paid in health insurance instead of money. Once again, these all cause the demand for healthcare to increase, which means that the price of healthcare continues to increase. But these are all changes in the behavior of consumers on healthcare. What about the changes in the incentives faced by the producers or the providers of healthcare?